They mocked her for having a black stepmom until she was called on. Beginning. The gleaming spires of New Avalon City stretched into the skies like crystalline towers, pulsing faintly with the rhythm of the fusion reactors beneath. It was the year 2149, and humanity had long since expanded into the stars, though the Earth remained the beating cultural and political heart of the galaxy. At Astra Academy, the most prestigious academy in New Avalon, students wore crisp white uniforms, their badges marked with the emblems of their families. Most hailed from the wealthy elite, corporate dynasties, scientific houses, or political clans. Legacy mattered here more than grades. 16-year-old Leora Dane walked the corridors clutching her tablet nervously. She was brilliant, her test scores had placed her in the top 1% nationwide, but brilliance alone was not always respected in Astra Academy. What mattered most was who you were born to. And Leora's family had recently changed. Her father, Dr. Elias Dane, a respected physicist who once headed the Quantum Gate program, had remarried. His new wife, Marissa Clark, was not only black, a fact that the children of the academy whispered about with derision in their elitist, color-blinded arrogance, but also a former xenolinguist, someone who had lived off-world among alien species, interpreting their culture and tongue. That combination made her an outsider in every possible way. And now, by extension, so was Leora. "Hey, Dane," a boy called out as she entered her advanced astrophysics class. His name was Talon Verain, son of the billionaire who ran Verain Orbital. His sneer dripped with contempt. "How's your new mommy? Teaching you to braid hair with alien mud or something?" The laughter that erupted was sharp and cruel. Leora froze. She wanted to disappear, melt into the floor. She loved Marissa deeply. Marissa was warm, patient, and had never once treated her like a burden the way her late biological mother sometimes had in her illness. But here at Astra, love wasn't the currency. Bloodlines and prejudice were. "She's not my mommy," Leora muttered, sliding into her seat. But the words came out too quietly. The laughter rang louder. From the corner of her eye, she saw one girl, Kaylin Zhou, the only other scholarship student, give her a sympathetic look. But no one dared challenge Talon and his circle. Every day since the wedding, the ridicule grew. They mocked the way Marissa spoke with passion about alien cultures, the way she wore bright, Earth African fabrics instead of the sterile Academy standard grayscale. They called her xenolover and primitive. And though Leora tried to keep her head down, their words burrowed into her like shards of glass. Middle. One day, everything changed. It began with a message across the Academy's intercom. "All senior physics students report immediately to Auditorium C. This is not a drill." Whispers buzzed through the corridors. An all-call in the middle of class was rare. Something serious was happening. Leora filed into the massive auditorium with the others. On the holostage stood Chancellor Arian, flanked by officers in the dark navy of the Interstellar Council. "Students," the Chancellor's voice boomed, "an incident has occurred. During the annual diplomatic summit with the Zalari Consortium, communication has broken down. An alien envoy has transmitted a complex message that none of our AI systems can decipher. Normally, this would be handled off-world. But the transmission's quantum key has, inexplicably synchronized with the Academy's quantum network. And according to protocol, the first students flagged with neural resonance must be called on." A hush fell. Neural resonance? That was the rare phenomenon where an alien signal aligned perfectly with the brainwaves of a human. It happened once in a generation, if ever. "Leora Dane," the Chancellor said, and every head snapped toward her. Her heart stopped. "Step forward." Talon snickered from the back row. Her? With the stepmom who collects alien trinkets? Figures. But Leora couldn't move. Her legs felt like they weighed tons. Now, Miss Dane, the Chancellor repeated firmly. Trembling, she walked to the stage. The officers activated a hollow panel. A swirling cascade of symbols danced in the air, shimmering like liquid starlight. The alien language pulsed, shifting faster than any translation program could follow. Your brain waves have shown the highest resonance match on record, an officer explained. We need you to attempt to interpret. Humanity's treaty depends on it. Gasps rippled through the auditorium. The mockery was replaced, if only for a moment, with awe. But Leora's hands shook. She didn't know how to do this. She wasn't a trained linguist. And then, from the edge of her memory, she heard Marissa's voice. Language isn't just words, Leora. It's rhythm, context, the song beneath the sound. You don't listen with your ears. You listen with your heart. Taking a deep breath, she leaned closer to the hologram. She let her eyes blur, let the shifting symbols become patterns. Slowly, she began to speak. It's not words. It's a plea. They're saying, danger. Something about the gate. The officers stiffened. The quantum gate, one asked sharply. Yes, Leora whispered. They're warning us. Something's coming through that shouldn't. The Chancellor turned pale. The quantum gate program was her father's greatest achievement, a stable wormhole to distant galaxies. But if it was compromised? We need her stepmother, Leora blurted suddenly, surprising even herself. Marissa Clark. She studied Zalari syntax before. She'll know the deeper layers. The room murmured. Bring in her outsider stepmother? The idea sounded absurd to the elite. But the Chancellor, faced with urgency, nodded. Very well. Fetch her. The arrival of Marissa. Within the hour, Marissa arrived at the academy. She wore her flowing indigo scarf, hair coiled neatly, eyes calm yet burning with focus. The students gawked as she strode into the auditorium, unbothered by their stares. When she saw Leora, she placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You already opened the door, sweetheart. Let's walk through together. They stood side by side before the alien transmission. Together, they deciphered. Leora provided the resonance, Marissa the structure and intuition. The Zalari envoy says, Marissa translated slowly, that the gate has been infiltrated by an unknown entity. A predator from beyond mapped its frequency. If it crosses fully, it will not stop at diplomacy. It will consume. Silence filled the room. Consume what? The Chancellor whispered. Marissa's eyes darkened. Stars. Systems. Entire networks of life. A collective shudder passed through the students. Leora looked around at the same classmates who mocked her hours ago. Their faces were pale now, fear etched deep. And all eyes were on her, the girl with a black stepmom who had just become the only hope of translation. The test. The council officers explained that someone needed to respond in real time, forging a bridge of trust with the Zalari envoy. But the envoy insisted only the resonant one could speak for humanity. That meant Leora. Her throat went dry. She wasn't ready. She was a student, not a diplomat. But Marissa squeezed her hand. Remember, resonance is about heart. Speak what you feel. The truth in your chest is louder than fear. So Leora stepped forward, facing the swirling symbols. She closed her eyes, let the resonance hum through her mind, and spoke. We hear you. We believe you. And we will act. You are not alone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols flared brilliant gold. The envoy's message slowed, resolving into an unmistakable phrase even the machines could read. Trust established. Pathway secured. The auditorium erupted in relieved cries. Ending. In the days that followed, humanity and the Zolari formed a new joint task force to confront the extragalactic predator. Leora was hailed across the networks as the resonant voice. But when reporters tried to paint her as a prodigy of the Dane bloodline, she corrected them. I couldn't have done it without my stepmother, Marissa Clark. She taught me how to listen when no machine could. The academy that once sneered at her now treated her like royalty. Even Talon Verain avoided her gaze in shame. But what mattered most to Leora wasn't their approval. It was walking home each evening beside Marissa, knowing the woman had stood beside her when the galaxy needed them both. One evening, Leora asked softly, "Did you ever think they'd listen to you?" Marissa smiled. "Not really. But I knew one day they'd have no choice but to listen to us." And under the starlit skies of New Avalon, stepmother and stepdaughter stood together, no longer mocked, but called upon as the voices that saved humanity.